Hi guys, welcome to my new YouTube channel. My name's Sarah, for those who don't know, and I am an artist. I do all different types of art, murals, oil, and I also do watercolour illustrations for books. So today I'm going to show you a picture that I'm working on for a new children's picture book. I've drawn the illustration. It's on A3 watercolour paper and I've outlined it in watercolour pencil. And now I'm ready to start painting it with watercolour. So I thought I'd just do a little video just to show you how I start and maybe get the background in, and then we'll do another video to carry on with the same painting later on. So, shall we start? Shall we have a look? So, if I turn you around, on my easel is my sketch, and I'm going to tape it up onto my easel. So if I pop you down here, and hopefully you can hear me okay. I hope you can see in this video what I'm doing. So first of all, we're going to get some tape, and we're going to tape along the top. So we're going to put the tape onto the paper and put it in the position where I want it, and then give that a bit of a push down. So when you're painting with watercolour, the paper tends to buckle depending on how good your paper is. So taping it down and pulling it tight and giving it a good stretch tends to help. So I'm just going to put it on the paper there, and then I'm going to really pull it down and give it another push. Then we're going to do the sides, same principle. Push it onto the paper and then give it a bit of a stretch, get it as tight as I can. And the same with this side. Just give it a bit of a hole. You will get some buckling, but hopefully not too much. Now for this painting, I want a frame, so I'm going in with my tape again, and I'm going to tape off where I want the frame. So I'm going to come down here and try and get it as straight as you can. Just give that a little push. And again along the bottom, I want a frame, so I'm going to come up to about here. Make sure it's nice and straight. From what I can see, it's pretty straight. So this is a new children's picture book, and I have done so far 28 illustrations. Can you see I'm getting a nice neat square? So I'm nearly at the finish of this book, which is exciting. And then what will happen, the book will be formatted in a book formatting software program, where the pictures and texts are added together, and then it'll be published, ready for you all to go and buy. Okay, so that's the tape done. So we've got a nice frame. Now it doesn't matter if I paint outside the edges, because when I pull the tape off, you're still going to get your nice frame. So we're going to start with the background, and I want like a blue and purple and pink sky going down to a green bottom. As you can see, they're around the campfire, roasting marshmallows. singing on the guitar. Got some crazy little characters in this book. Pretty cute. So right, let's crack on. So I've got my water here, my palette, and I'll take my big brush for this, and we're going to start off with some nice blue. So I'll mix the blue up onto my palette because I like to see the colours together. And we're going with the light colours to start. And we're just going to start up here. It's a bit too light, so with a bit more paint, a bit more pigment, colour. That's a bit better. And we're just going to follow my lines. Now, because I've outlined it in a pencil, I use watercolour pencils, but you can use other pencils. My paint shouldn't bleed outside those lines, theoretically, she says. Like so. And if you go over, I just push it out of my finger. So watercolour tends to dry quite quick, fairly quick, so you've got to work at a steady pace, being careful not to go over the lines. And also, if you make a mistake, you need to try and correct it while the paint's still wet, because watercolour's not very forgiving, and after the paint's dry, it's difficult to go in and correct, unlike other mediums, so I tend to work pretty quick. As you can see, I'm just following all the lines in this very pale blue, pushing the paint around the paper with my brush. So pale, so I'll add a little bit more. And as we come down, we'll just add in other colours. So we're starting with blue at the top. Trying not to go over my lines. So I get asked quite a lot what paint I use. So with watercolour, I like Daniel Smith. I like the vibrancy of the colours. They tend to be pretty bright and vibrant, as you can see. So then we're going to go in with a purple. So I'm just going to mix up a bit of a purple. And just sort of blend it in with what you've already laid down. Like so we get sort of like an ombre look. Come over here with some purple. Bring that down. And you've got this is quite a detailed drawing, so you've got to remember all your background spaces as such. If the colour's not bright enough, just go in and add some more pigment. Now with watercolour, it's handy to have tissue so that you can dry your brush and just soak up any bits that you don't want. I'm going to go over here and put in some purple over here. Now for my fiddly bits, if it's getting a bit too fiddly, I'll swap to a smaller brush. So we'll get rid of that one and we'll go in with a very fine brush. Get some purple on there and just to go around detail. There's some little tricky bits here. So like her hair and the little bird. I'll just fill in underneath him. Around his feathers. Around his nose, his beak, should I say. Around his tail feathers. Bring it down to here. Oh, my dogs are barking at. I have to excuse my dogs. Then we're going to go in with some pink, quite a bright pink, and again we're just going to add it to the paint I've already put in, give it a little blend. And try not to get any sort of lines, so I'll work up again and then come back down. Might have to add a little bit of blue there to get rid of that line. And bring it up a bit. Go back over the blue. Like so. Back in with the pink. Now I'm going to bring this pink all the way down here, behind her back, as you can see, in between her wheelchair and back, and bring that up a bit, around her hair and into the bird. Bit more pigment. Oh, quite a lot of pigment now. So if that happens, you can just water it down. Moving it down. See, I've gone over there, so I just push it out with my finger off the lines to where I want to sort of bring it to about there. I don't want it even because I want the grass to look natural. So if you've got just too much, you can just scrape some off. Like so. And then I'm going to swap to my little brush for a minute. So back into this brush. And back into the pigment. Just going to follow the lines neatly, and then that little bit of water, like so. Alright. You can see I'm just sort of dragging the paint away a bit, mixing it with a bit more water. It don't look so dark. I'm coming down here, just filling in those gaps. There we go. I quite like this bit darker, so what I'll do is once this is dry, I can go over and put a second coat on anyway. if it's not bright enough. Sometimes like the sky I don't always do as bright. I'm going to maybe make that a bit darker of a blue because it's supposed to be night time, but I wanted it sort of hazy, summery colours. So I'm going to go back in with the pink. I'm going to come down here again with my small brush because I've got a lot of little bits now this side. And what I'll do is, again, it's just a bit dark, so I'll just add in some extra water, just lighten it up a bit. I've got some real little fiddly bits along this side, so small brush, nice and gentle. Just working your way down to where you want it, so I want it just around here. As you can see, there's no pigment there at all now, so I'll just add a little bit into that. Then I've got these tiny little bits to do. Now I always, once my illustration is dry and finished being painted, I always go over with watercolour pencils, and you can just put in extra little details and correct any mistakes if you've made any. It's pretty good for that. I try not to make as many mistakes because, like I said before, watercolour can be hard to correct once it's dry. So you can see my brush is getting a bit dry here. So I'm just going to put in some more. And what I'm going to do on this bit here is I'm going to just add some purple and bring the purple back in. Because you don't want the sky to be all the same colour one level, if that makes sense. Skies are never even, lots of tone definition to skies, and it just ombres that up a bit. I love the way watercolour blends together, as you can see that. And then we're going to go back into the pink over here. Now if your paint's dry, push that out, like it has here, you can just add some more water and a bit more colour and sort of blend it in a bit. As long as it's not too dry, you can sort of get away with it. That's what I'm saying, you have to work pretty quick with watercolour if you're working on a picture like this. So I'll put in a little bit of pink there. I'm going to bring this down to as well. So now what I can do there is just add a little bit of purple to sort of blend that in a bit more. There we go. That does look like a too much of a line, and we'll bring it back into purple under here. Around the little man. I often get asked how long a picture book takes to illustrate. Depends what time I've got. A couple of months normally. Yeah, a couple of months, depending on how many pages I have to do. I do love doing kids' picture books. It's probably one of my favourite things to do, along with murals. I like doing murals. So I'm hoping to do a few videos like this on illustration, depending on what response I get. I'm often asked, can you do videos? We want to see you painting, everything on your work, like that. Which is fine, as long as people want them, I'll do them. so. So now I'm going to come to a bit of a darker blue. I'm just going to put in some darker blue along the top. I'm going to go back to my bigger brush. I like flat brushes. I prefer flat brushes to the round type of brushes, round head brushes. But obviously you work with what you feel comfortable with. Some people like to use a hairdryer as they're going along to dry bits, but I prefer the way it dries naturally. So again, that's personal preference. There we go. A little bit more in this corner. Yes. Happy with that at the moment. So I'll take you, see if you can see what I've done so far. Sort of like an ombre sky, pretty straightforward. So I will let that dry and then I'll move on to the next part and do another video and upload that. If you like what you saw today, please subscribe to my channel, and then that encourages me to do more videos for you guys. Thanks. Ta-ra.